Hello peoples of the interwebs and welcome to the first episode of Final Verdict. In this series I will look over a game I've previously played in this channel and review it in more detail in order to help viewers make a purchasing decision. Today's episode, Crash Time 3. To begin with, graphics. The graphics of Crash Time 3 are certainly not bad by any standard. Okay, it may not be CryEngine level, but considering it was released 4 years ago, it's not too bad. It's certainly passable anyway. The design of the NPC filler vehicles in the game could be greatly improved, for example the addition of a driver model, but ultimately this doesn't subtract from the gameplay. Also, the game is incapable of keeping one consistent ambulance model for the city, I believe having either 2 or 3 models for an ambulance. Now I can see no logic in wasting file space by adding 3 ambulance models, so I'm not particularly sure why they've done this. AI. Throughout the game you'll come across several races, way too often. These races are the only examples of competitive AI, and to be perfectly honest, the AI is pretty terrible. The cars behave as if they are on rails. In fact, the game even draws the rail on track in fluorescent green. When hit, these cars hardly react, usually just swinging back onto the track in the way Scalextrics never did. This usually backfires on you and throws you around 180 degrees, understandably leaving you frustrated. The AI requires significant improvement. I mean, significant. Significant to the words "the AI needs improvement" being written all over every wall in the city of London. Story. The story is not particularly well written. It centres you around tons of meaningless errands, and the terrorist threat is the most unoriginal story I've ever seen. The voice acting is incredibly bad on its own, without having randomly removing the audio effects they have on. For example, at one point we hear a phone voice, which suddenly becomes crystal clear in the very next line. Also, the dialogue goes on for ages, way too long. I'm sure I died of boredom twice during one section of the dialogue. Also, having this dialogue repeat every time you fail a mission is pretty annoying. Now it's the big finisher, gameplay. The gameplay is mostly summed up by 2 activities: attempting to stop a vehicle or going through a series of meaningless checkpoints. Checkpoints are interesting as they sound, aka boring as hell. The pursuits are reasonable, but the target car can take way too much before it gives up, often leading to your car being stuck somewhere and the target running off somewhere. And because you're more than 200 meters away, it decides you've failed. That's another thing this game does too often. It will give you an escort and fail you if you get closer than 20 meters away with no checkpoints. This forces you to start again completely. This has led to me having to do one section of a mission several times. It's frustrating and there's no need for it. Also, during the police chases, they say you have options as to how you stop the car, but several times all these options are taken away. For example, they say you can use a gun, you can say you can launch a drone to blow up the car. They only ever use this in the training missions. To conclude, for its asking price I would say not to buy Crash Time 3, there are way too many flaws in the key gameplay issues. I'd only recommend getting Crash Time 3 for its local multiplayer, which allows for a wide variety of vehicles and possibilities to mess with traffic on every circuit, leading to some rather fun moments with friends. However, this could benefit from an online mode. So to conclude again, if you're looking for a decent car game multiplayer with traffic to mess with, go for it, but don't expect anything much from the single player.